the Rambler Network.
Hello, welcome back to Casablanca. Today's episode, I'm covering High Strung, which is a 1992 comedy directed by Roger Nygard, written by Steve Oedekerk and Robert Kahn, and starring Oedekerk, Jim Carrey, Thomas F. Wilson, and Denise Crosby, and featuring an 8-year-old Kirsten Dunst. So, back up a little bit. There'd be a style change starting with this episode. I don't know if you've been following this season. This season I started scripting the episodes, and I released a poll on Instagram a couple of days ago asking if people preferred that or whether I went back to just improvising. And I was going to say overwhelmingly said improvising, but there was only 4 votes. But all 4 did vote for improvising. And I did have a message from someone who said that apparently when I do the scripted one, I take the personality out of the show. Which, I don't know, I thought everyone hated that. I kept digressing. But anyway, High Strung is the episode that I'm going back to improv on because, well, first off, that was actually a coincidence, but also it's fitting because this movie, I grew up with it and like no one's ever heard of it. I'll bring it up with people and I'll reference it all the time and no one's ever heard of it. And so I guarantee nobody listening to this episode has ever heard of this movie. It is an early Jim Carrey movie. It came out, well, technically it was filmed in 91. It was released into, film, it was screened at film festivals, including the San Jose Film Festival, Palm Springs Film Festival, Cleveland International Film Festival, Houston International Film Festival, and there's a long list of them here. And yeah, the interest wasn't high enough for it never got a theatrical release, and it was a few years before it was even released on VHS. And it only did that because Jim Carrey blew up, and it was, according to Wikipedia, the success of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective launched Carrey's film career and renewed interest, and then, the producer sold the distribution rights to Rocket Pictures, which released the film on VHS in 94, and that is the copy I owned as a kid. And, yeah, I watched it all the time. And I could, like I said, I quote it all the time. And, there are several scenes in here that, sometimes I'll randomly go, "Don't wet the table." And my friends are like, "What?" I'm like, nothing. Occasionally, I haven't done this in a long time, but, I might start doing it again just to confuse people. I used to, back in high school, and, sometimes after, I would go, "I hate Happy the Clam!" And then, yeah, nobody knew what that was. Okay, so, the plot of this is, well, there's not technically a plot. It's basically a stand-up special with a narrative. It stars Steve Oedekerk as Thane Farrows, and he's walking around his apartment complaining about stuff. That's the movie. And like I said, it's basically him doing his stand-up routines with a bit of a narrative. Occasionally, somebody will come in, like his friend. Wait, let me see. What was his friend's name? His friend Al, played by Thomas F. Wilson, will come over. He comes over twice, I believe, and they interact. And his boss's wife, Melanie, played by Denise Crosby, comes over, and so Thane Furrows is a children's book author, but his books are rather dark and kind of so his boss originally liked his stories, but then Melanie marries him, and she kind of takes over, and she doesn't stand for that. She doesn't like it. She comes over and she yells at him, and Thane is like, it shows his inner monologue, like, come on, man, stand up for yourself, tell her what you think. And then it shows externally, he's like, oh yeah, okay, I totally get it, I understand, I'll or whatever. And then, yeah. There's a scene with a insurance salesman named Ray, played by Fred Willard. He comes over, and Thane acts like he actually cares about it. Oh, I am so sorry. Like, come in. I'm really interested. I just recently came across a whole lot of money, and I don't know what to do with it. And so, like, the guy's going through his whole spiel about the whole insurance and how important it is. And Thane's like, playing along, and then he takes him to the door to leave, and then he's like, oh, yes, there's just one small problem. I'd rather be dead. That's actually like a theme of the movie. Like he like ends each rant with, I'd rather be dead. Which actually kind of leads to Jim Carrey's character. He occasionally pops up, like Thane will close his eyes, and then you'll see like Jim Carrey's face, like making weird faces and stuff. And he's like, whoa, what was that? Oh. And then he'll get like messages, like calls and stuff saying, remember, 8 o'clock. And he's like, what's 8 o'clock? What's happening at 8 o'clock? And then like at the end of the movie, 8 o'clock comes, and it turns out Jim Carrey is death. Like the death, and they take him to a limousine, and he's like, well, yeah, so the thing is, you can only say I'd rather be dead like 6,000 times or something, and you said it that many times, and well, here you are. And Thane basically annoys Death so much that he's like, okay, you're alive. And yeah, normally I wouldn't spoil this much of the movie, but like I said, it's not really available. I mean, okay, so it actually is available on YouTube. I don't know how long it'll be on YouTube. I was lucky to find it. I don't know how long that video's been up there. I didn't check. I saw it. I wasn't even going to cover this because I thought it was only available on VHS. And then I saw it on YouTube. I was scrolling and it said, I was looking, I randomly thought of the movie, and I was like, I wonder if anyone's talked about it on YouTube, and I looked it up, and I saw the full movie uploaded, and I immediately clicked on it, and I watched it, and I'm like, I'm going to do an episode, and this is this, and I don't know how long it's been up, but at the time of recording, the entire movie is available on YouTube. I highly recommend it. In fact, I will add it to the show notes. Okay, yes, I did kind of spoil the end, but like, this is one of those movies where like, even if you know the ending, it's more the journey. It's like if I told you the ending of Napoleon Dynamite, it doesn't really change anything. It's still a funny movie to watch. This is a hilarious movie to watch. You need to watch it. It is hilarious. Granted, it's not everyone's kind of humor. It is kind of dark and cynical. But, like, that's kind of the point. I love it. I mean, it's nostalgic for me. Okay, so, like, obviously, everyone knows Jim Carrey. Steve Oedekerk isn't as well known. Like, I'll occasionally mention Steve Oedekerk, and people are like, I don't know who that is. Well, obviously he was in this movie, but he also wrote and directed Ace Ventura. He wrote The Nutty Professor and Patch Adams and Jimmy Neutron, and wrote, directed, produced Kung Pao Into the Fist. He wrote Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty and like a few other things. But those were just some of his main things. Like he became more of like behind the scenes, behind the camera type person. So he's not really in front of the camera much these days anymore. But just because you don't know his name as well as you don't know as well as you know Stephen King. Wait, what? Just because you don't know his name as well as you do Jim Carrey doesn't mean he's not as important. Well, he's still very active and relevant and everything. So, yeah. And like I said, 8-year-old Kirsten Dunst was in this movie. And I don't even know if she would even remember making this movie. I think I looked on her Wikipedia. It was her third movie. And, yeah. Like I said, check it out on YouTube. And cut.
The Rambler Network.